Welcome to my channel, Self-Worth Serenity. On this channel, I'll talk about the things that affect the overall self-worth of Black women. I chose to focus mainly on Black women because I'm one, and I'm frankly just tired of the constant image of low self-worth depicted by so many of us. Condemnation must always come with compassion and a humble invitation to change. I hope you can take something from this video. Thank you. Love your ear and it will love you back. Bumpy head, picky head, dry head, tough head, carpet head, nappy head, mop head, black pepper green head, bumblebrush head, chaka head, untidy head, coarse head, steel wool head, sandpaper head. These are terms that were used to refer to our hair by Jamaicans. According to Halo Collective, early discrimination of black hair began in the 15th century. European colonists framed themselves as white saviors on a civilization mission and classified Afro-textured hair as closer to fur or wool than human hair, using black hair as validation for dehumanization, enslavement, and exploitation. Slave traders regularly shaved the heads of captives and the term dreadlocks originally derives from slave traders' description of Afro-textured hair as dreadful after it had naturally formed into locks during the Middle Passage. Negative internalized perceptions about natural black hair exist today because of centuries of trauma. Derogatory attitudes towards natural black hair continued after the abolition of slavery. Black women have a variety of hair types and textures. This is in part due to genetics and mixing with other racial groups. If I'm being honest, you can never really discuss anything that is an issue where black people are concerned without mentioning the impacts of colonialism. The psychological effects of European colonialism on our self-image are vast and they run deep. The perceptions we have of ourselves today never started with us. How we feel about ourselves has a lot to do with how we were socialized to perceive ourselves. To always feel important and superior, Europeans made it their duty to always remind our black ancestors that they were the epitome, were the epitome of the ideal human being. A lot of black people sadly believed it and regurgitated this black inferiority rhetoric to their offsprings and kept it in rotation for many years. This video will highlight our natural hair and critically examine the struggles around it. I've heard people tell others that their natural hair doesn't suit them. I've heard people use a lot of derogatory phrases when talking about the natural hair as well. They've said that it was too dry, it was too tough, too thick, too short, too nappy, too curly, too puffy, too wild, and sometimes too coarse. Phrases like bad hair and good hair are used often in black cultural spaces. I, for one, was referred to as a bad head pitney. In Jamaican terms, it meant that I had bad hair. I had extremely short, low porosity 4C hair while growing up, and I must say that it was the hardest thing I've ever had to endure, pun intended. We've come a long way regarding hair care and how we perceive our hair. Even as the natural hair movement grows, we have a far way to go. Our natural hair shouldn't be trendy for us to embrace it. I remember when the big chop became a trend, people were cutting their hairs left, right, and center. But instead of embracing the beauty of the natural hair, braids took off. Braid companies were bathing in money as the demand for it skyrocketed. I never knew that there were so many styles that could have been done with the braid. Hair cream usage started on a steady decline, and then wig sales and usage began to skyrocket. Every time you start to think that we were going to finally embrace our hair, something new came in and took its place. Some people prefer to go with their natural hair, while others prefer it permed, in braids, in weaves, or wigs. A lot of kids never get to develop a love for their natural hair because as soon as it starts to grow, their parents apply hair cream to it. Jamaican national hero Marcus Garvey said, "Don't remove the kinks from your hair, remove them from your brain." Many find it hard to accept the kinks, coils, curls, or naps that grow naturally from our heads. You can't even be upset with them. You just have to pray for them. People keep blaming society but seem to forget that it is us that make up society and not aliens. It's people like you and me. The choices to love our God-given hair is ours to make. Nobody can do it for us. People complain about length, curl pattern, edges, etc. instead of embracing whichever type they have. If we want to, we can see the beauty in anything. They go out of their way to judge their hair by length and curl pattern and then blame others for it. It is a hard task to change the minds of the masses because people are always going to hold on to the comfort they know. Loving ourselves means that we know ourselves, and if we never face the person in the mirror, we have no idea of who we are. Simone Biles, Serena Williams, and Gabby Douglas all made history in their respective sports, and instead of reveling in the joy of it all, the black community decided to focus only on their hair. They dragged these women for not having laid edges or some sort of wig or a slick back ponytail. They can't stand to look at it, so they feel everybody else should be. They keep stressing these women for having black hair and for their hair doing what black hair does. There is always something introduced to make someone feel inferior about their hair, from name calling to outright bullying. A lot of the time I see them try to pass off the hate that and discrimination to men, or black men especially. They claim that it is the black men who hate our hair, but with the same breath, they say that they couldn't care less about what black men have to say. Which is it? If we love our hair the right way, whatever someone has to say about it is of no significance to us. The type 4 hair seems to always be in the conversation when discrimination is the topic, especially type 4C. Embracing 4C is not synonymous to hating all other types of hair. 4C may be the most difficult to handle, but if it's what you have, you just have to make it work. You can't be upset with someone for embracing their hair types and be pissed with everyone who likes a hair type that is not 4C. People have a right to like any type of natural hair that they choose to like, and it's not being prejudiced or biased, or that one looks worse than the other. Some people just like what they like. Give people grace to like what they like. If someone says that they like black women's natural hair, instead of taking the compliment, people get aggressive and start talking about how people hate 4C hair. It could be a simple comment and women will come in guns blazing talking about could never be 4C hair. Nobody likes 4C hair. I know they aren't talking about 4C hair. People have a problem with 4C hair, and they go on and on and on. You can't compliment 4C hair either. As soon as you do it, you are it with. I know you're lying. People never compliment 4C hair. You're just pandering, etc. You only like 4C hair in theory, but not in reality. Sometimes we are our own worst enemies. Whenever there is a big event, what's our first thought? Oh, I need to get my hair done with either perm, flat iron, blowout, wigs, sew-ins, or braids. They get all this done while reciting "Black is beautiful." Saying it and believing it are two different things. Black women empowerment is more of an on-paper thing than a real-life thing. They take issue with anything in support of black hair that they claim is not black-owned, but rip black-owned businesses to shreds. Nothing sells like hate and controversy. They will go on the internet and make videos and act like the products are a one-size-fits-all, knowing full well that products react differently in everyone's hair. White people may have initially started the hate for our hair, but it's us that have kept it in circulation for centuries. Parents sit their children down and tell them that everybody else is better than them. What I find also is that people with long hair, extremely curly hair, loosely coiled hair, etc., are given the freedom to love on themselves and their hair publicly. What a lot of us black women fail to understand is that nobody, and I mean nobody, loving themselves less will ever make us feel better about ourselves. It's nobody's job or responsibility to make us love our hair and who we are. Do you believe that if they love themselves and their hair less, you'll somehow magically learn to love and appreciate your own hair? I don't think so. There are so many channels on YouTube who talk about hair, but instead of trying to uplift all hair types, because at the end of the day, we're all black, they decide to ridicule and discriminate against certain types that they perceive as superior. It always reeks of bitterness to me. We talk a good talk about women empowerment, but for me, it has yet to be nothing more than theory and fiction. Celebrating one hair type won't take away anything from another. What is even more annoying is the fact that they will ostracize these same persons for flat ironing their hair or perming it, claiming that they don't want to be black or that they don't like themselves. The early 2000s saw the growth of the natural hair movement, focused on encouraging black people to celebrate the natural characteristics of our kinky curly hair texture. Most people who went natural by way of the big chop did it on a whim, and plenty of them regretted it. They did it because it was a trend. Trends decide if we love ourselves or not. Isn't that sad? We always want to one-up someone or be the one in the spotlight. Then we complain about haters. Yes, what is life without haters? Our low self-esteem is always on full display for the world to see. There's always There's all this talk about resisting peer pressure and chartering our own paths, but none of it is doing anything to genuinely impact society. If you have a perm and you like it, why are you pressuring yourself to grow it out so that you can do a big chop, which at the end of the day you'll live to regret? Why is it so important to follow a trend? Are we in fact a monolith? People can like what they like and it doesn't have to be an issue. Some of us black women just want to be miserable. We just want to always have something to complain about. I'm beginning to believe that many of us do in fact love the chaos and do not want any solutions to our problems. It shouldn't have to be that the only time we choose to appreciate our hair is when a non-black man requests it or compliments us on it. Coming on the internet and screaming in delight about how much your non-black partner loves your natural hair is not a flex and is not something to be proud of. It always screams, please accept me, person whom I regard as superior to me and better than me. Of course, it's a great thing to have your spouse love your hair, but do you love it? Why did he have to make you see that your hair is beautiful for you to believe it? Why did you need his approval before you could believe that your hair was beautiful? Why? Couldn't you have looked in the mirror and say, oh, my hair is so beautiful, I love my natural hair? Why does it always have to be like a white man, an Indian man, or an Asian man loving on your hair for you to see the value in it? Isn't it good enough for you? And it's always like, don't touch a black woman here, never touch a black woman here. And then you make a lot of videos with these non-black men running their hands through your hair and your beaming and with happiness and, oh my God, my partner loves my hair. I'm so happy. I've never felt beautiful before. He made me feel beautiful. It's not anybody's job to make us feel beautiful. It's not a white man. It's not an Asian man. It's not an African man. It's not a Jamaican man. It's not an American man. It's nobody's job but ours. We have to put in effort to love our hair. We have to look in the mirror and accept what our hair is. We have to look at it more than once and don't shy away from it. We can't keep hiding it under wigs and in braids and then expect some love to blossom somewhere. We have to do better. If we love our hair, we have to put in the effort. We can make our hair as important as ever. There's nothing that we can't do. It's up to us to take a stand and to be proud of who we are. We need to make our hair as important as any other type of hair. We can do it. We just need to love ourselves and accept ourselves for who we are.